Hello and welcome, apprentices. I am the Wizard of Winterhold. Does magic in Skyrim feel like it's a little bit weak to you? Like magic somehow just got forgotten about in the same game that got everything else about high fantasy right? This seems to just be wrong for the world we're playing in. Magic is supposed to be the apex of power in any fantasy work, and here it's just sort of been forgotten about. It's almost like the true power of magic is hidden away somewhere. It took me a while, but I found it on a dusty shelf somewhere. I don't have enough time to explain everything I know in one video. So, for the moment, let me just casually do something I shouldn't be able to do. Let's overpower ourselves with the Atronach Forge. For anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about or what the Atronach Forge even is, I would believe you if you told me that you just forgot about it entirely. I also wouldn't blame you. Let me quickly fill you in, or more likely, remind you. In the midden of the College of Winterhold, the basement you're not supposed to go into, there's a powerful artifact that nobody knows how to use in there. That isn't a point on the lore. Nobody knows how to use the freaking thing. The book on the table's just putting random stuff in and hoping for the best. The wiki suggests pretty much the same thing. This isn't as hard as that scary list on the wiki would suggest. If you don't believe me, keep watching. I'm about to use that overgrown decoration to get a Zura's star at the start of the game. I have 3 rules that I'll be using for this guide. First off, I'm not leveling up until the next video. I'm doing all of this at the lowest level the game is going to let me. Second, I'm using the old 2011 release of the game. I don't have any mods installed whatsoever. I don't have the legendary patch, I don't have SKSE, I don't have any of it. You can do all of what I'm doing here in the same game your PlayStation 3 is going to run for you. The last rule is that this character is a hard dedicated mage, so I'm allowed to carry and use a dagger and work tools for melee defenses. All other sources of damage have to be magic. I'm allowed to use any smithing perk for the same reason warriors are allowed to use enchanting perks. I'm also allowed to wear armor that benefits mages. So the Dragon Priest masks from Solstheim are all fair game because they're a way to increase the damage done by spells. I'm not allowed to wear unenchanted hide armor, however, because that doesn't help a mage in any way. Anyone who's ever looked at the Atronach Forge already knows we're in for a little bit of a scavenger hunt. What we need is surprisingly mundane. I'll list what we need here before we begin and show you a list later on screen. Some of these items are a little bit intimidating, and that's where most people decide that the forge is useless. We need to get 3 runes, 3 greater soul gems, 1 of each elemental salt, 1 corundum ore or ingot, a moonstone ore or ingot, and an orichalcum ore or ingot. I know the list is a little bit scary, but the only reason I'm making the video is because I've already done this and can do it consistently. Race doesn't really matter for this game, so I'm just picking this guy because I think he looks homeless. Like, look here, just tripped over him while running from the guards, and that's how we both got caught. I think I'm gonna name him Homeless Joe. My first stop to becoming an overpowered mage is going to be Riverwood. Why Riverwood? Because being a mage is expensive, and Hod has an offer for us. We're chopping wood for money. He's offering bad rates for us too, 5 gold per log, so let's get chopping. And keep chopping, until the day is gone and comes back again. How much does an NPC think a full night's labor is worth? Hey, with this much, we're almost ready to become a mage at Winterhold. I'm gonna chop enough until we have about 3 grand and then we're off. If you're growing levels, I would recommend putting at least 1 point in speech. 10% off it is a lot when the ticket says 1,000 and you need to buy that 3 times. The fastest way I know how to get to the College of Winterhold is through the carriage up White Run, so that's going to be our next destination. We just need to sell anything we don't need to these caravans, and then we can go to Winterhold. I'd like to point out that we just got dropped off in a snowstorm that's happening in the middle of the night. I'm impressed by that carriage driver's dedication to his job. We're here to use the Atronach Forge, and we're close enough to start our scavenger hunt, so what do we need? The first object on our scavenger list is brooms. I picked up 2 in Helgen. You can pick up all 3 in the midden if you want to. The second is 3 elemental salts of different elements. That sounds hard if not impossible, so we just get the void salts right here in the dorm you're led to at the start of college. You can also get these and some frost salts in the Hall of Continuance if you want to. Be aware, the owner minds the theft. If you don't want to steal the salts, they're right here with Rundi and his staff. The fire salts are in the midden, so we can worry about getting those later. Our next objective is to go to the Whistling Mine. We need to take a single pickaxe and we can head off for the Shrine of Azura. Yes, we came here to take an important tool from a failing mine and then leave. Once we're at the shrine, we speak with Arena and she will give us a puzzle and then suggest that we go to the College of Winterhold for help solving it. We need to use the pickaxe we got at the mine for this vein right here. Once you have your corundum, go back to Winterhold and we can spend some of that money we've got. We need 3 greater soul gems for what we want. That is the only reason I have 2 hours worth of footage of me chopping logs. Once we have our soul gems, we're actually ready for the midden. Everything else we need is down there, waiting. We needed the corundum, and there are 2 kinds of metals we need and a salt. The salt and orichalcum are right here next to the Atronach Forge itself, so we don't need to worry about where to get that. We need to find that last metal, however, and that is going to sound insurmountable because we need moonstone, a material that does not spawn at low levels. It's not like that's been down here the entire time. Yeah, since 2011 and you just didn't know about it. You'll only need to use 1 ingot for this, so you may have 3 extra laying around. I have plans on what to do with this later, but for now we're just using the Atronach Forge. There's an ice wraith between us and that forge. The wraith has the power to just take us down, so a direct fight is not a good idea here. The solution, of course, is not to fight with this thing, but to take this other path that leads to just one Draugr that you should be able to deal with. After that, it's just getting to the forge and picking up the ingot and salt you need. Here's the scavenger hunt list on screen. 3 brooms, 3 greater soul gems, 3 elemental salts of different elements, corundum, orichalcum, and moonstone. Once you have that, just use the pull bar a few times and it should give you this, 3 staves of 3 different Atronachs. The fact that I have magic sticks of conjuring powerful monsters is why this forge is so hard to use. The first order of business is to remove the frost wraith that's still in my way. I recommend a frost Atronach here because it has a high resistance to frost and tends to be a tank. Also, the wraith can just go past a flame Atronach and go right for the conjurer. Once you have what you wanted off the wraith, we can move on to maintaining our staves. We need that star. Faralda's still out here guarding the bridge because I didn't go through that first cutscene with Tolfdir yet. The one where he gives you a warding spell. I ask about an elven mage studying stars, and Faralda sends me to Nelacar in the Frozen Hearth. Nelacar gives us some exposition, and with that, we're off to Nalthia's Deep to fetch our prize. Once you're at Riverwood, remember to get to the northern bank of the river so you don't have to swim across a lake filled with slaughterfish just to reach your destination. At the dungeon, we need to make our way through these necromancers. They're actually pretty strong. At this level, Nalthia's Deep is a serious threat. There is always more than one opponent per room, and they will raise their buddies without hesitation. This place would be dangerous if I didn't have my Atronachs. Here's the plan. We call an Atronach into the middle of the room, and then we hide like the heroes we are while it does the hard work for us. This is probably why mages are called cowards, too weak to fight for themselves. Going through this dungeon is actually easy. Storm Atronachs are hard counters for mages, and at this stage of the game, it's happy to destroy everything in the dungeon without a second thought. There are only 2 rooms of note, really. The one with the alchemy lab and enchanter's table for obvious reasons, and the room right after it because it has a boss chest. Once we're done with the first stretch of the dungeon, we can move on to the deluge. This is a high-level area for me. I can tell because the loot is really strong. This potion's a full heal for me right this moment. The necromancers here are a little bit more powerful, but my Storm Atronach is still happy to deal with them. I can tell things are over when the Atronach comes back to me. The most notable rooms here are the one with all these adept locked doors. I got a few levels knockpicking just from these. The next room had a guy with a black soul gem on hand. I've got a plan for that, thanks. The last room has a second boss chest and a skeleton with a broken star in hand and the same name Nelacar gave us back in the inn. Malin Varen. This is supposed to be a moral dilemma. Do you take the star back to Nelacar and get the black star that only uses people's souls? Those are the strongest in the game. Or do we bring the star back to Azura and not use people's souls for our enchanting? I decided to find out if Arena is worth using as a follower, so I'm getting Azura's star. I'm not worried about where I'm going to get larger souls. I was able to take out these giants with Flames and a woodcutter's axe earlier. Flames isn't quite powerful enough to finish off the giant, but the woodcutter's axe was able to handle that. Before continuing with our quest, I want Soul Trap. Yes, I could just buy this, but everyone here wants to play with the Atronach Forge again, so we're doing that instead. Make sure you picked up a ruined book somewhere and a petty soul gem. After that, we can go back to the midden to put that, a salt pile, and a torch bug thorax in the offering box. The soul gem can be any size, any color, and it doesn't even need to be filled, so the petty one I'm using here is fine. Once you're happy, just pull the bar and you get a new spell tome for the cost of trash. I don't think I paid for it. Once you're done with the midden, we need to go back to wherever you're repairing the star. For me, it's going to be the Shrine of Azura, where we speak with Azura personally. As it would turn out, Azura is willing to send us into the star to destroy the soul of that necromancer. Once we've been sent into a shiny rock, we need to destroy the necromancer who's living in here. He isn't all that tough himself, but the Daedra guarding him are. My normal strategy doesn't apply here because the Daedra will immediately lock on to me. I actually lost a few times before I found a strategy that would win. It wasn't until I rewatched the video that I actually understood why I had won. This bridge isn't safe. For me, Varen only used ice magic. At higher levels he can start using shock magic and will take pot shots at you. They may not sound like it means anything, but shock magic travels dramatically faster than frost magic will. We need to abandon our normal strategy because we can't conjure the Atronach in a different room than we are in. The better option is to conjure the Atronach next to you and let it run out to the Daedra. If you don't, there's a chance those Daedra will ignore your Atronach and target you instead. I would also recommend the use of a Storm Atronach here. The Frost Atronach is weak to fire, and a Fire Atronach isn't strong enough to handle those Daedra. The only real reason I was able to win this is because I was able to summon a second Atronach when my first one went down. Had I not had that Atronach help me out immediately, I would have had to try again. Malyn Varen has 3 Daedra under his control. You can extract 1 heart per Daedra. You should be able to leave here with 3 hearts. Once I've eliminated the Daedra, all I need to do is take down Varen. I'm not going to end this without a dose of irony, so how about I cast Soul Trap on Malyn Varen and let my Storm Atronach acquire his soul for me. Once he's down, I acquire his soul and Azura gets ready to remove me from the star. After that, Irena lets me know that she wants to follow along, so I let her. Now that we've become overpowered with the ability to maintain that power, I would like to thank anyone who finished the video. I'm sure you're curious where we're going. The plan for this channel is to show you what you don't know about being a pure mage. Getting every Atronach at level 1 is good, but I have far higher aspirations for Homeless Joe. For now, I plan on showing off the most vital tools for a mage. If you would like to support the channel so I can make more content like this, then I'm writing a strategy guide for Skyrim. It's in the Substack below. I am not going to be covering Creation Club content and will be ignoring the Anniversary Edition for the simple fact that I want this guide to be viable even if you're on the PlayStation 3.